In this tutorial, we shall discuss array and pointers. Especially we talk about pointer arithmetic and how can I use it when manipulating pointers and arrays. So here is that link, and there is a sample code that you can download and test. And consider subscribing to our channel if it is useful. Let us review what we have talked about. We have talked two most important concepts. One is ADR operator, another is dereferencing. So here we have that ADR, and this get that address of n int var 1 and set it to p int, and then by this we are telling that extract the address of p int and find that variable where p int point and set 1 2 3 4 to that variable. We have almost an empty project, so we can declare a array like this way. Then we declare 3 pointers of type integer which will point to items at index 0, 1 and 2. So we shall declare 3 variables that will point to this item, and this item. Then we manipulate by pointer arithmetic and test. So we declare 3 pointer variables, and then we declare another generic pointer. So this plain int pointer, and that we change by changing that index, and it will point to different index, and then we extract that value and compare and test. We have another variable that is delta, and this delta will hold the size of an int. Size of int means how many bytes it will occupy. So we can find that value of delta by size of operator or subtracting two address, next address and current address. That should give the size of integer. Test is another variable that holds the content of third element in the first cycle, and later it will hold the content of generic pointer, plain int pointer. So test is actually first point to the third element, and then later it will point to plain int pointer. We just compare different values. We have another variable temp, which can be used to set content of third element of the array indirectly. Of course, we have I and j for auxiliary purpose. So we are filling that plain int during that first cycle, and it's like going to be like 1 2 3 4 5, and then we are assigning this plain int address 0 to that first element, and add1 to that second element, and add2 to that third element, and that we are calculating in different way. We could write as this way also by using 2, but we are taking the address of first one, and then we are adding 2 times size of integer, and then we are getting that address of third element. And now we are extracting that value to that test variable, and we are setting that third element to variable temp. So after first cycle, this array will be like 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, and so on. And then delta we are calculating by second address, and we are subtracting that first address. So this should be 2, and then we are continuously calculating the address of plain int. First we are setting 0 and 1. Actually this one will be effective 1 because it will be overwritten. Now we add some more code, and here plain int pointer will be calculated based on that value of I, And so if it is 0, then actually it will be same like this first one, and if it is 2, then it will be same like ad address 2, and so on. So we shall test that, and then we are holding this plain int pointer. Plain int pointer is pointing to first element because I will be 0. So value of test will be calculated by dereferencing this pointer. So first, if the value of I is 0, then test will be first element of that array, and then plain int address 2 will be equal to temp. What is that value of temp? In this case, value of temp is 321. So after initial cycle, that third element will be 321, and so on. Let's test this. So we build, compile, and now we can see that value is 1 2 3 2 1 4 5 6, and this has a address like E70 and 072 074. So as you see that it is for 2 bytes difference. And now plain int pointer is pointing to that first element because this value of I equal to 0, first element, and then plain int pointer, and this one, this address is same. So, and now if we see this content, it is 1, and then this content, it should be 1 also, because this value of I equal to 0. And we shall changing that value of temp to 3210. So value of temp changing to 3210, it means that third element will be changed to 3210, and because a plain int address 2 is, we are setting this value to this one. So let's write this, and it has value, third value is 3210. And now if we change that value of I, so value of I is 0. So now let's change this value of I to 0 1 2. So we change the value of I to 2. So if we change the value of I to 2, that means plain int pointer will point to that third element, and then test will be 3210, and test is now 1, and after this test will be 3210, and now test is 3210. And now if I change back to 0, then it will be 1 again. So it is, test is 1 again. So if we follow this code, so plain int pointer is pointing different place, different index based on the value of I, and then we are dereferencing this pointer and setting it to test. So value of test is changing accordingly, and so this is making sense. Another test we can do, let's change this value of I to something illegal, for example 23, and so now this value of where it's pointing is -1, and we don't have -1 here, so from where it is coming, so that index is different, so that means it is missing our stuff. So we have to be very careful that when we are using array, then we use that correct index. So in our case, from 0 to 5, if we use something like 6 7, then we get some garbage value. So we have to be careful. That multi-dimensional array. So multi-dimensional array is actually we can declare multi-dimensional array like this way. So we have array of max row and then array of max column, and its type is real. And then we are setting this first row and first row in second way, and page second row and third row. If we want to set all value to in that array, then we can do this loop. So row 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10, 11, 12. And then page first row point to this row 0, and third row this. We can do another test. For example, data real. So based on that value of I, we can extract that value by this way, and we test this one as well. And page we have like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then page first row, this is pointing like first row, so it has a value like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So first row is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 10, 11, 12, second one, and like 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on. Now if we change the value of I, for example, let's say 0, 1, 2, this is third row, and if value I equal to 0, then we should get 20. And let's put and this is 20. And if we put, let's say if we put 0, 0, 1, 2, then it should be 22, and it is 22. Okay, so we have talked what we were planning to talk, and now you can download that sample from here and test it yourself. And if there is anything to comment, please comment in that comment section, and consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you very much.